We love the cards. We like the cards. I love Bitcoin. I love historical NFTs. And I'm very, very excited to have this conversation with Robert and Alex, who are the founders of CryptoCards, a January 2019 project that was rediscovered and revived within the last, was that like 7 or 8 months? Incredible. They've had an incredible journey. There have been a lot of twists and turns. And as they mentioned before we started recording, this is the first podcast that they've ever been on. So thank both of you for joining me.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, thanks for having us. As you said, I think we're in for an interesting conversation today. We have created a historical collection, and yeah. Because the years have passed, we've had some challenges along the way, but alongside our community and to the help of our partners like Adam, we got here. We got to revive this project who tells an interesting story.
Yeah, no kidding. And in terms of story, we might as well just start from the beginning. So CryptoCards was created in January 2018. It's a project about Bitcoin history on Ethereum. So I could only presume that both of your crypto journeys extend probably many, many years before that. So tell us a little bit about how you got into crypto and then why put Bitcoin history on top of Ethereum.
Yeah, sure. So for those that there's both of us. So both Alex and Robert, we're both here. I'm Alex. I'll start. So I'm the software engineer by craft. I've been in the industry, like coding and designing system for more than 10 years now. I really love like crypto attracts like so many smart people. And somehow I ended up being one of those developers by trade that ended up with an interesting crypto. My first actual run-in with crypto was in 2015. Back then, I was Medium. I was like a heavy reader of the Medium, the publishing platform, and there was an article about Vitalik and about Ethereum that caught my eye, and I deemed it fascinating. Afterwards, though, like I mainly focused on a startup on the Web2 world as a CTO, and I lost touch with the Web3 crypto until 2017 when everything went mainstream again. And how I got into NFTs, I think I've always had like a creative mind since I was a kid. I would do all of this drawing and visualize things in a unique way. And I come from a family of engineers, and I was attracted by all the drawings, architectural stuff, and so on. And I was like this product hunt avid user because I mainly come from a startup Web2 world. And this is how I stumbled on the CryptoPunks launch. And I was there when the post was still fresh because I got the notification and I upvoted and I was like the first 10 persons or so. And that really struck a chord. And this is like a sneak peek. And I will let Robert present himself as well and how he got started. Yeah, so I think I found out about Bitcoin way before Alex did. It was, I guess, 2009 when I had some college friends who told me about it. And I was like, this is really cool, but it won't really take off. And I think, the first time you hear about Bitcoin, you're like, this is so stupid, but and the next time you hear about it, the person who told you obviously made a shitload of money, and you're like, okay. And so the third time you hear about it, you buy it. So I got into trading in 2017, fairly late, and did fairly well for a couple of months, then got wrecked like everyone else. Then the crypto winter hit, and I decided I'm going to focus on building in this new Web3 space. And I knew Alex because we collaborated on another project, and we started CryptoCards. But yeah, until then, I was in touch with the entire scene for a couple of years now. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I mean, I remember Bitcoin being $900, and I had colleagues mining it from their dorm rooms, and Ethereum being I don't know $35, and now we have all these prices, and I realize it has been a truly extraordinary ride. And apart from the prices, we had a lot of adoption as well, and people began to educate themselves about blockchain. And yeah, I'm really excited to find out what we're gonna have next. And
yeah, so it sounds like that both of you have some deep knowledge. As crypto winter came, this project was launched right here. It says January 2018, documenting the most important moments in Bitcoin's history. Were either of you or both of you familiar with NFTs? Obviously, that was the time when CryptoKitties almost brought down the entire network. But diving into NFTs from trading quote unquote shitcoins in 2017, which most of us did, takes a little bit more knowledge in terms of what's actually happening outside of just these like the crazy ICO white paper phase. So I'm just interested, which of you were interested in NFTs, or was this just a complete project that was just out of left field that you both kind of collabed on?
Yeah, I think like back in 2017, like you had a couple of choices you mentioned. We put it very well. Like trading shitcoins was like the favorite betting scenarios and everything else, and all the money. Yeah. So you either like worked at an ICO, but for me it was like legal wise and so on. It was a bit difficult, and I didn't want to delve into that. And on the art stuff, I saw CryptoPunks on Product Hunt. Was like, wow, this is like actually really cool, and it struck a chord with me. And I asked myself, what if we create an art marketplace on Ethereum where like artists can benefit from royalties on secondary sales in perpetuity, and have all the good stuff that blockchain provides us, provenance and so on. So I started learning solidly. I already knew a bit before stumbling upon CryptoCards. And like I ran this idea by Robert, and okay, let's start on it. And actually, I was like building a marketplace. Okay, I started with the smart contracts, and then I had to build a new UI platform on top of it. It was actually like I did like work. I worked at it like 4 to 6 hours daily after work. And I started, I think, rather early in the summer, right, Robert?
Yeah. And it was July that year.
Yeah, it was July 2017, and I started cracking on this. It was like solid developer doing all of this, and as the platform, like this marketplace platform, was shaping along, the idea was, okay, we need the first NFT collection that we feature, right? To bring like attention, awareness, and then invite other collections and artists to like publish assets on our contracts on our platform. So brainstorming, I was like really interested. I was toying with generative art, and I was really impressed by Bitcoin, and I was visualizing UTXO models, and I wanted to do something really complex, but I still might like pursue that maybe in the future, but still with our amazing community. And then we ended up like we didn't really want to move a bit away from the pixel style art that CryptoPunks made a bit popular, and we say, okay, let's go via a bit artsy vibe of it. In this way, like let's do like a meta history about Bitcoin on Ethereum. Yeah, I saw the collection that Larva Labs published, and yeah, it was interesting. I think I bought 1 or 2 punks, which I traded, I don't know, half a week later, $100, I think, and I was really proud of that. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, Alex called me, and we decided that we would develop our own collection that's a bit more sophisticated than 24 pixel images that were the punks. So in general, we knew that we wanted to create a collection that has a strong narrative behind it, and we felt it was only fitting to record the Bitcoin history on chain through a series of cards marking important milestones. And the funny thing is that we started working on the collection in June or July that year, and we only minted in January 2018. It was the most fun time that we had to get to work on the collection. It was just the two of us, no expectations, just two guys meeting after work every single day on Skype. And funny thing, me and Alex did not meet a single time during these months, 6 or 7 months that worked on. We only met several weeks after it was over, and it didn't take off. But yeah.
So here, let me ask you this. You mentioned that you're inspired by CryptoPunks, and it was a cool collection. Were either of you aware of CryptoCards? Because this is very similar to CryptoCards, as it's a primitive to the ERC 1155, but they both operate as multiple editions of same cards. So, and they also had a few Bitcoin cards as well. Not as intuitive as the cards on here talking about the moments, but were either of you aware of CryptoCards or looked at it as inspiration?
I think when CryptoCards was published, we were already like set up, let's build this. We really didn't pay attention to more projects on the market. And yeah, it was interesting that I think it was CryptoCards and then Dada Collectibles that had first this concept of multiple means per ERC 1155 as mentioned.
Correct. Were either of you aware of Bitcoin NFTs, Spells of Genesis, Rare Pepes, or anything that was being built on Counterparty?
I was actually back in 2017, like I did like this. So as you mentioned, they were like trading shitcoins or doing masternodes, if you recall, right? And when I was looking like doing forks or studying masternodes and everything else, I actually understand the nitty-gritty of like how Bitcoin was built internally and everything else. And it piqued my interest, especially Namecoin, because it was the initial fork for Bitcoin done by Satoshi himself. And I was aware theoretically, and I knew that you can attach like bits of information to Namecoin and so on and so forth. And I knew about Counterparty that you can create assets. But the idea back then was like, should I burn that much Bitcoin to like have Counterparty assets? And we didn't go that way. But it was an interesting, in hindsight, it was an interesting decision, right? Because if you do something about about Bitcoin, you can consider like Counterparty like on the same chain, right?
Yeah, completely. And that's why the historical NFT community tends to form around Namecoin assets and Counterparty assets, because although they weren't ERC20 or ERC721, they are the early primitives that kind of laid the foundation so that CryptoCards and all of the successors afterwards could succeed. It's quite interesting. So here's the actual Misfit art, the original website. I believe that's from the portfolio. When you
so we disabled all the marketplace feature. We basically on this was like the initial platform, but we disabled all the marketplace features and everything else. Right now, it only hosts the portfolio side, which is actually the dApp that you can convert from the initial like token ERC20 to the latest ERC 1155 token. So basically, we're still thinking like to publish the V0 because it's pretty cool to have the same vibe for 2016. You still cannot. We're thinking like if you want to bridge back to ERC20, you can still use the platform, and we're thinking like putting back the initial platform, because similar to what I like the way Pixelmap went, because they revamped very modernish their whole stack, but they still kept that 2016 vibe, and we're thinking to the same. But at the moment, like the initial platform, like bidding, so the initial marketplace had similar features to OpenSea, like bidding, sales, the transaction history, and everything else. And when we launched in January 2018 in the first weeks, but I think at the end of December, OpenSea just launched, and we saw that they had backing. Their UI was much more polished than ours. And I was like, oh, we worked a lot on this, and they had funding and so on. We're just like preparing, having a marketing strategy in place, and we're basically bootstrapped. We say, okay, let's still launch it because we worked at it. Let's at least be on the blockchain. And in hindsight, that was still like a good decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, let me ask this then. It says that Misfit Art is a digital marketplace, and that there were the digital artwork was submitted by artists. Although when you look on here, most of the cards, they follow a pretty similar format. How many artists contributed to CryptoCards, and was there a template for them to follow in order to have their artworks accepted into the collection?
Yeah, so we didn't got that far. As I mentioned, the CryptoCards collection was the initial collection that we created. And Stack, Robert worked on it. And like, this is our like first collection example. And then if this would take off and we would have traction, we would like other artists, if you'd like, these are the guidelines, please apply, we'll publish your collection. But we didn't get that far.
So we had a chicken and egg problem. We had a marketplace, but no artists yet to post their artworks there. And then we decided to create this collection, the CryptoCards collection. And as we would market the collection, we'd market the platform as well and the benefits that we were offering.
Right. So who created the artwork in this project? Was it either of you? Did you outsource it to somebody else? And tell us a little bit about the creative process of the selection for all of these iconic moments in Bitcoin history.
Yeah, so I'm Robert. I'm the person that designed the whole collection. I wouldn't consider myself an artist, though. I'm just a graphical designer. That's a tag that I don't know. I don't really deserve it. I mean, I think there are other artists out there who are creating amazing art, and they have, they deserve the spotlight, and they really deserve that title. But yeah, so. I remember Alex needing just 2 months to code an entire NFT marketplace when it was pretty complicated at the time to figure out how to, even have a marketplace that could, allow bidding, selling, and so on. I remember that he wrapped up the first iteration. He showed me the initial design. Everything was working. And I had to show him what I've worked on, and I only had 2 or 3 cards. So I couldn't decide on a concept. It was obvious that I need to pick up the pace, but some stuff came up. But in the end, I had a concept and a general design, and the CryptoCards was born as a collection. Then I studied the history behind it, and I chose some cardinal moments in Bitcoin history, and I decided to illustrate that moment in its history. My work here is heavily inspired by old cartoons from 1820s. People like James Gilray, Thomas Nast, Isaac Cruikshank. I don't know. In my mind, the ability of cartoons to convey a persuasive and detailed message has unquestionably stood the test of time, particularly even now in an era of massive media output. So I want each artwork or design on the cards to convey a powerful understanding of the events in Bitcoin history and to be able to further illustrate the stories in ways that articles or words are unable to.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the artwork because it has this like nostalgic, historic kind of feel. When you look at the art, it looks like it's like rough. It's rough. It looks like it has texture. It's quite unique in that aspect of how the artwork's displayed. It doesn't look anything like a Bored Ape or any of the like new modern NFTs that we're seeing displayed. You could tell that these are very, very unique. So as the platform is created, you mentioned that there isn't much traction. It kind of just like willows away into the dark abyss of the 2018 crypto winter, and it goes on for years. Where do both of you go? When you both decided to stop pursuing active work on Misfit Art and CryptoCards, did you both of you turn to something else in crypto? Did you completely walk away, and then lead that into the rediscovery process of, I believe Adam McBride reached out and helped both of you relaunch that? Was there a little bit of surprise that NFTs blew up the way that they did?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw, the 2021, how well the Hashmore collection did, and that really, spurred the entire market take off. But to get backwards a little, I think from the get-go, we really weren't sure if it would work. I mean, we treated this as an experiment. We weren't sure if it worked from both a technical and a psychological perspective. So in a sense, it really was an experiment. The technical questions were around how best to represent the art on the blockchain, and whether we could make the experience easy enough to use that people would actually buy and sell them. I mean, the NFT concept was by now explained and over-explained, and people get it. But back then, 2017, people would understand what an NFT basically is. So yeah, the psychological question here was whether people would feel like they even own something under this system. To give an example, when you have any painting on the wall, you feel confident you own a piece of art. It wasn't clear the same would be true of ownership of digital art recorded on a blockchain back then. So, in hindsight, the timing wasn't perfect. We did some mistakes. We have been working on it for almost 8 months in total silence, which you don't do. Right before our launch in January 2018, the NFT market started to die down, and we didn't get attention from the wider crypto audience. And we decided to move on and work on other things.
I can get into the rediscovery part. So 2021, as Robert mentioned. So 2021, like the NFT market blew up, like 20 to 30 billions flew in NFT contracts. So as all good rediscovery stories, ours involves, as I mentioned, a well-known NFT archaeologist, hero as well, Adam McBride, which needs no introduction, I think. Adam was aware of CryptoCards as he stumbled on our website, but due to a glitch in our MetaMask libraries, because they were not updated since 2017, the estimated gas to buy like an uncommon card was like half an ETH or something. Because like MetaMask had like a lot of breaking changes in between, and Ethereum like changed the way gas is treated and everything. I'm still like, I don't know how it still prompted MetaMask, but it did, but with an horrendous amount of gas. You might be aware, but Adam's quest to unearth historical projects kind of had like 2 stages. At the beginning, he was focused on like Mooncat style discoveries that started the whole trend. So like the site was running, minting was close to zero, able to see the art and so on. I think he mentioned on a podcast or something that at first he was doing like searching on Google to see like using keywords and so on to search all of these projects. And the second stage, he specialized more on reviving historical projects with different challenges associated with them. I picked some up with Treat, like you need to buy, and they had a lot of. And on November 2021, we got into call with Adam. Would like to take this moment to extend our massive thanks to Adam. Without his expertise and guidance, we might not have been here. CryptoCards collection would most likely still be buried, but we'll see. We find things every day. He's a mentor to us. He has been alongside us ever since, and was critical at times in our journey so far. So when we sync with that with Adam, he mentioned a couple of things. So the initial pre-sale was not over. We had a couple of challenges. The initial pre-sale was not over. The one in January 2018. The prices were hard-coded. One of the good things is that the pricing we set back in 2018 was decent. Like we had like 0.005 for an uncommon, which was still reasonable for 2021. The second challenge we had is like the CryptoCards contracts predates the official ERC 1155 specs and were modeled via custom ERC20 contract. It's like a mold between CryptoPunks and like making to be ERC 1155 friendly. So from a user perspective, Adam advised us to like have a smooth user experience. Like in the first step, you should buy from the pre-sale and get directly OpenSea IRC 1155 NFT directly, and optimize the gas in the process, because behind the scenes you would participate in the pre-sale, get the ERC20 token, and then wrap that into the latest NFT standard. We did a lot of gas optimization, which landed us in trouble. And I think on this part, we're getting to the speed bumps during discovery of what we say. So in my quest, because I'm the dev, to optimize as much as possible the gas, because it's like it was imprinted in my mind that 0.5 issue with MetaMask. I tested a lot on the testnet, and just before we're about to launch the wrapper, I saw mentioned somewhere on the OpenSea documentation, oh, but wait, you can still whitelist your contract so that users can avoid that initial approval transaction. I was like, oh, I can do this. Okay, I checked the docs. I took those like snippets to like whitelist the official OpenSea contracts, and I was like, okay, this seems good. And I deployed on testnet, and on the testnet, like I just tested that I could sell, but like I put something for sale, but like I didn't test that you can actually buy. As you can imagine, I was testing for a full week, and like everything about software development is like you don't do changes in the last 100 meters. And we launched the wrapper, everything worked. Like people could buy, the gas was very reasonable. They would get an OpenSea compatible NFT. And then we went to sleep after like 16 hours, like 18 hours. Like we didn't sleep like 2 hours that night. And back in the morning, people trying to like sell a couple of items, and they couldn't. And I woke in that morning, it's like, okay, then I would like to thank you, the community, because we would not be here with our community. They are an amazing bunch. They put a vote of confidence into us. They had patience. And then we had a challenge on our hands, because we had a lot of CryptoCards tokens in a contract that was not compatible with OpenSea. Because the issue at hand was that we used a slightly older version that was not compatible with the way OpenSea instructed us to do that specific whitelisting. And the mention and the warning about this was in the Polygon documentation. So I was looking at Ethereum and so on and so forth. While this was compatible on and tradable on all the NFT marketplaces, the good stuff was on OpenSea, right? So we had the challenge in our hands because we needed to preserve the all the counts and not lose anything. Like the math needed to work. So we created the secondary wrapper, and the gas optimization stuff worked this time. So you only needed to send your old V1 ERC 1155 to the new contract. You would get the D1s, the V2 that we call that works on OpenSea. And we made it a dApp that was very easy to convert, and everything else in the community was satisfied, and they were with us during this process.
During the reselling of the cards, the mint price was really low. I believe I paid $40 total for each card. I ended up getting around 20 or 30 or something. But you could see here on the screen that there was ERC 20, then V1 ERC 1155, and then V2 ERC 1155. So it's quite interesting because this happens time and time again within the crypto community or the historical NFT community of just having to modify and kind of update these vintage contracts to get them up to the ERC 721 standard so that they could be sold to all of us degens who are just craving all of these vintage assets. But on your website, and this is a big part, the lost cards. I remember this happening live. It was quite a wild experience. And I remember there was somebody who ended up claiming a bunch of them and then kind of holding it against the team. I pulled up the Discord so you could see this was the first message from Stack talking about back a little bit of context about the gas prices. And then originally there was 61 crypto cards that were launched. And then a few of the archaeologists found 3 of them in the contract. And then it became a whole ordeal. I remember there was a community vote of some sort. Take us through this experience from both of your ends as the community uncovered these cards. Were you aware of these cards beforehand? Was it a big surprise? How did you end up corralling the community together and come to a solution of how to distribute these cards, burn them, and then the creation of the DAO that formed afterwards?
So first, we were surprised because we were not aware about the cards. The mistake that we did in hindsight is that between 2018 and 2021, we're actually the domain went out of expired and everything else. So at the beginning of 2021 with hash masks and everything else, we just basically during the evening, I basically put everything back together. The site was up, renewed the domain and everything else. But to do that, I needed to find an actual database, the source code, and I found it in a long forgotten hard drive somewhere. And the thing is, when we minted in January 2018, the gas was I think 30 GUI, which was a bit high back then, and we needed to mint all the cards. It was a financial investment for us as well, and we would take one card at a time, try to mint it, and then we would put in a database, okay, this card was minted successfully, okay, it's available. And we did this by hand. It was not very efficient, but in startup ways, don't over-engineer, do something fast that works. And the stuff that bite us is that the database that I found that kept track of what got minted was out of date and missed those cards. So when we put the site up, the site only displayed the cards that were like in that database. And in hindsight, what we should have done, we should have built like a subgraph of what got minted in 2018. And we didn't do that in our rush to relaunch and everything else. And some true archaeologists, they started like poking around the 2018 contract, looking at all the transactions and everything else. And they found these additional cards. So there were 4 additional cards found. One was without art attached to it, because we even lost the art and the community decided to burn it. And there were 3 uncommons, each with supply 200. So what we decided to do was, so someone from the community found this, mentioned to Adam. Adam came to us, and we started buying ourselves. Due to the way that the pre-sale contract was made, we didn't own that. We needed to participate in the pre-sale as well. So we started buying all of these cards, and I think the gas, like in between that, we stay a lot, like trying to buy all of these in chunks and so on. I think we spent like 10, 15 each in gas to buy all of this. In between, someone like saw that the contract that we were buying and reiterated a couple of transactions and like front ran us and bought like 15 or something from the community. We tried to get almost all of them, but we couldn't. And then, as mentioned, we decided like to drop this to the community with, and the funds that we get from this would go to the treasury, which we ended up raising about 20 each.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. How are the negotiations with Crypto Baiwan, who bought some, and then Don't Dust Me Bro.eth? Were they open to what was happening? Were they playing along? Was there a lot of tension? Because here it looks like some of these cards you acquired 189, 175, and 165 out of 200. So what happened to the other ones? Was it just one of these 2 individuals just decided to hold on to them for their find, or was there an agreement on the back end?
Both Crypto B1 and Don't Dust Me Bro were like true advocates. They liked the card. They didn't want to create any FUD, so there was no tension. They actually decided not to dump on the community or anything else. They hold on the cards. They didn't dump. We wanted to. I think we decided. We were considering like buying from them, but in the end we end up not pursuing that approach. But both of them were open discussion, were very kind. There was nothing like, there were no tension or anything. And even after Crypto B1, I think was an outstanding member of our community.
Yeah, he is. He's actually they are pretty in tuned with the historic NFT community. So it was good that he was a part of it and not some malicious actor. So I'm going to pull up here the DAO funds. I believe there's about 20 ETH in there. Has there been any plans within the community that to do something with it? Right here, 18.5 ETH. Has it just sat there? Is there some sort of snapshot vote? Just tell us a little bit about the progress of the DAO.
So we have a forum app in which people can discuss proposal before it goes for voting, for official voting on a snapshot. We have configured the snapshot as well. And I think we have in the pipeline a couple of proposals that is going to take shape and folks can start voting on them. And to encourage voting, we're going to have proof of attendance for the first DAO vote and everything else. But for the moment, the funds that we used so far, we used some funds to be included in the artwork archive recently. And that's about it. But we have we have plans with the existing treasury, which will be made public shortly.
Yeah.
Now that set up in terms of voting and brainstorming and everything else.
It takes a lot of time, and we're starting to see this in the historical community. Various DAOs form, from Realms of Ether to Puny Codes to the Eggs DAO. It seems like the necessary step. It's just determining what the direction is. Is it going to be an investment fund? Is it going to be a bounty fund? Is it going to be some sort of a new innovative DAO, kind of like what Mooncats did with the vending machine, where it's kind of like a franchise DAO? A lot of directions to go, but leaving it open to the community to determine what the right direction is a smart move, especially with 18.5 ETH. I mean, might seem low for some people, but 50K is not a small amount. You can get a lot of that done.
Yeah, I agree with you.
As the wild turns and adventures happen through this, I believe this was around the same time. I pulled up a tweet from Adam talking about how OpenSea delisted one of the cards. It's the China ban card. China bans ICO and Bitcoin exchanges. Tell us a little bit about what actually happened here, and how long did it take for the card to be unlisted or relisted on OpenSea?
Yeah, so this makes for another interesting and fun story. Because it ended well, of course. But yeah, so we were on Discord discussing some matters with our community, and a lot of people began posting, "Where is Taiwan? Where is Taiwan? Where is Taiwan?" And we were puzzled at first. We didn't know what happened for a second. Then we got in touch with a member of our Discord who were posting these messages in a loop, and they pointed our attention to a specific card, the China bans Bitcoin card. And on that specific card, there's a map of China. And I remember specifically when I designed that card, I just used the map of China. That's it, the map of China that everybody uses. I wasn't aware of any geopolitical tension in the area. And at first, and even right now, I apologize if I offended anyone. There are certain political situations around the world that we certainly don't want to get into. On our part, we just used a vector with the map of China. I wasn't aware of the political situation there and the geopolitical situation with Taiwan. We had bots in our Discord channel, but they didn't stop here. They also, filed a lot of complaints to OpenSea that was something wrong with that card, and that tripped a rule from the OpenSea platform, and they automatically took the card down. When that happened, Adam led an entire online revolution against OpenSea. And the great team at OpenSea looked into it and released the card shortly. And it was just, it was done for a short amount of time, I guess, 4 or 6 hours. We then took a while to educate ourselves about the situation over there. And there is a point to be made that this isn't just an artistic pursuit. And the point we made as a community is that the NFT project in this space, we shouldn't get political. And that was the idea that we tried to promote. Other than that, everything, we managed to solve everything really quickly. But for a couple of hours, this really made for an interesting story. And I'm glad that everything solved out.
Yeah. In kind of a roundabout way, it probably is going to ascribe even more value to the card because China banning ICO, and then regardless of the opinions of who was running the bots to get it taken down, it's kind of quite ironic how the turn of events actually happened. But this is crypto, right? Where anything can happen at any single given moment. It's
Yeah, it's part of its beauty in a way. It's a space where anyone can innovate, anyone can try new things, anyone can express themselves freely, I guess. And that comes from both sides, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of, so here, let's see. So you have 1,500 owners and only 8,000 cards in this collection. It's quite crazy how the floor is so low, but we know that when the historical NFT community blows up, 200 supply is absolutely nothing. And you have a very popular historical NFT collector collected the rarest one for 51 ETH, Daryl Morey. What was the thoughts behind this acquisition? Were either of you aware that this was going down? Has Daryl reached out to you guys at all? This is literally a one-of-one card, so there's really there's no one-of-one cards that exist. I believe in Dada's or Creeps and Weirdos or Curio cards. So might be one of the first ever. And I might be wrong on the Creeps and Weirdos, but could be one of the first ever one-of-one cards in a historical collection.
Yeah, well, we went back and forth with this decision to have just one card. So that meant that just one single person could own the entire collection and basically all can showcase all the history of Bitcoin. But we're glad we did it. It certainly adds a special twist to it. And DMOR never reached out to us. He secretly bought the whole collection. He secretly, and I guess that's the way to do it. And we were really, really surprised by that bet. I know that at the time, this was also the most expensive card of the collection. When we relaunched, this card was 3 ETH. And there was a member of our community who was brave enough to buy it outright. I know that this card, which was the most expensive card, was bought in the first day of the rediscovery. And I know that that person talked with Adam and they were consulting each other. But yeah, I guess in crypto, when you believe in a project, when you have the courage to pursue your gut instinct, sometimes you're rewarded.
There was some, sorry to interrupt. There was some chatter about like before this one-of-one, the ghost, so what we call ghost rare. There was some chatter about tokenizing it because it's a bit like you only can have one collection. So I think this is like the appeal to it, right? And the idea for like tokenization, I think, was discussed a bit in the chat, but in the end, Daryl Moore decided to buy it from the initial holder, and we're glad that like the Satoshi, we could definitely hold it for ourselves by wanting the hands of the community. So we're glad that it found its way naturally.
Yeah, and also think that the person who has the whole collection, we believe that it couldn't be in better hands. We talked with him, and he's the type of collector that you want to board, and we're glad that we have people with the stature of Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, and other people in our Discord that appreciates our collection.
As we call it, Diamond Hands. Diamond Hands, Daryl Morey. He's got a quite vast historical collection. Now we get to go to my favorite part. We get to project a little bit into the future and see what is being cooked up behind the scenes. There's quite an extensive roadmap. We covered the DAO. Of course, you would think Bitcoin collection on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum collection on top of Ethereum. Is there, and you have it here, the Ethereum Chronicle. Have either of you or the community begun on this specific project, or is there anything on this roadmap where in the metaverse and gaming, Ethereum Chronicle, the PFP, or scaling, I guess, that is priority number one at this moment?
Okay, so priority number one would be the expansion of the metaverse. We're acutely aware that age alone won't make CryptoCards a hit. The major challenge from here on is building up a community around the project that brings in more users and pushes the value of the cards higher. With projects like ours, it's like, okay, yeah, we have you have the historical context, but now you need to build a solid foundation with your community, because our real measure is not now, but is going to be what our community size engagement would look like in a year or two. Thus, we're now really focused and we're looking to establish our positions into the metaverse as early as possible. Mainly because the crypto art scene is becoming every day bigger and more competitive. To be successfully, I think we need to have a great understanding of our existing community and of this evolving space, and a really huge commitment to do well, which we hope we proved so far. So there's important viral component in the NFT scenes. Well, so once you get noticed, everything gets easier. But our simple formula is to have a suitable strategy and working with passion alongside our community. Also, NFTs, really started initially with the digital art side. We started exploring our concept as well with this digital art side, but its applications are far greater in the metaverse, and we want to explore and build our future, adding utility into our collections into this specific environment. I think you had a look at our roadmap, and we'll expand our collection into dynamic avatars, virtual museums and libraries, and why not games.
Yeah, so the metaverse, there's a lot of directions. You already mentioned, but the first thing that came to mind for me was a museum with historical artifacts, which is already what exists in the physical world. PFPs, man, I thought these things were going to go away. They only prove to just become more valuable over time. What would a PFP be like for the historic community?
Let's see if we can get you excited about
Get me hype. We need to increase some FOMO right now. Dynamic NFTs.
So you provide, as you mentioned, you provide a space for historical NFT collections to be heard, right? So you educate a lot of folks, right? The idea behind this is twofold. One, to bring to have a medium to bring historical NFT collectors together. You have it via your podcast, which is amazing. I think I had a lot. I got a lot of insights from all of your discussions. But the idea behind this what we call dynamic PFP is, so it's a PFP. The base avatar will change depending on what other historical NFTs you as a collector have in your wallet. So if you transfer that to a different wallet, that's going to change. So it's a interesting combination of using Chainlink for dynamic NFTs based on doing a snapshot of what you have in your wallet. So imagine you have different accessories, trades, depending whether you have a pixel map, you have a curio, and everything else. And the idea behind this is like to provide access only to folks that have in their wallet. There is debate what is historical, but we're gonna have like a cutoff by date, or I know there are a lot of what means historical, but we'll consult our community and see what that is. And having this PHP certainly helped us on the metaverse narrative as well.
Yeah, continuing that idea. Well, Jake, we've seen how the space has evolved in the last year. The last 6 months have presented rapid surge in in this PvP avatar utility. The social media circle we all have come to get accustomed to on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, or even Clubhouse and other places provides immediate and simple utility for avatar collectibles to meet the growing demand. So given that the CryptoCards originally were designed as art collectibles and are not suited for an avatar. So we're building this dynamic PvP avatar for historical NFT collectors, already giving it a twist and hopefully educating a new or implementing a new generation of PFP in the market. Because with this avatar, any collector can showcase the historical NFTs collection they own. It will act as an online digital identity for any historical NFT collector. And that digital identity, they can carry it into the metaverse.
Dynamic NFTs are quite an interesting concept. I believe Azuki was trying to do something similar, but I've seen the name thrown around. I haven't seen really much implementations of it. Have both of you begun the development on it, or is it still in the R&D research and development phase?
So on the technical side, I already sketched out some contracts. I know that everybody knows what the static PFP is like. Like you mint it, this is what it is, right? Dynamic, I think it's like a second iteration of the PVP NFT world. I think right now there's on the market, I think NBA, I think there's an NFT collection done by NBA in collaboration with Chainlink, which has players on it and has dynamic stats based on the where you are on the NBA season and things like that. And thinking about on our end, there are some interesting questions that we have to discuss, but technically it's definitely possible. I already toyed around with some contracts that makes this possible. There are a couple of questions that we still need to iron out, and the big part is the art part as well. While technically it's possible, art part is important as well because we need to compress a lot of artistical concepts, different collection, historical NFT collection in just the PVP, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting. And so I pulled up the Chainlink article from, it's about a month ago from this recording, saying that dynamic NFTs make NFTs more versatile, metadata changes based off of any off-chain or on-chain event. So that becomes up to the developers on how it wants to be implemented. The artwork would be, I think, an interesting obstacle to overcome because as assets go back and forth or in and out of wallets, you'd probably have to have thousands, if not tens of thousands of iterations, maybe in some sort of generative component or attachment to it. Is that kind of how you guys are thinking about it?
Yeah, there are two ways. You are on point. This would be the brute force ways, get on the work and do a lot of combinations. The second way that we can approach it is kind of do it like Mooncat did with accessories. So you can open up to other artists to design those traits. So for example,
if we do the accessories part, like that can be designed further by other artists and so on, you would have like a boutique or a customizer. So for this historical NFT, you can have these accessories, and we like on the background using chaining, we would verify at any given time that you still have that NFT, so you can wear this accessory or you can have this trait. So you can have pick and choose, and you basically build your own, and based on what you want to showcase. If on a given day you want to showcase that you have a punk, another day you want to showcase that you have a rare curio, you can definitely do that. And the idea was with this, like having opening access to design traits to the world. The idea then, we're still debating internally whether you as an owner, how many do you want to freeze that? For example, you created an image that do you want to freeze that? So you create like a static NFT. How many you can freeze? So how many you can generate and create static, or can you trade them? What can you trade? You can, for example, you can freeze one, you get the static NFT. Do you want to trade that? Maybe you can. Maybe it's unique. Maybe it's like an artistic manifestation of what you can combine based on what you have in your wallet. So these are like a question that we're still debating internally.
I have to say, I'm very excited to see how that turns out. I will gladly rep that as a PFP because not only is history quite fascinating, but innovating with history is very rare.
Yeah. One other thing, like technically challenging that we're looking into it is like, it was Ethereum first, like the let's say like the excitement around it. Now it's about like Namecoin and going even earlier, like Umbrella and like eggs and everything else. And the idea is, can we have like a cross-chain Oracle solution to bring that into as well? And yeah, it's still debatable on how many communities do we want to touch.
Oh yeah, if you can implement a Twitter egg and a nesting feature into that would go quite far. I did click down here on your historical NFT ecosystem. You bought a bunch of the domains, historical NFTs, and it routed to NFT archaeology, which I know Ken from Pixelmap is working on. Which is the historical NFTs, right? Is this a collaboration, or is this both of yours? I believe this is Ken's thing, right?
Yeah. So while we bought domains, like we wanted to in the background to still build for the broader community, not just in isolation. So the idea was like for like the definitive timeline, having a leaderboard and having like stats. So Ken reached out and he mentioned that he already needs like the definitive timeline in details in one place. And we mentioned, okay, you can handle that. We can just point the historical NFTs and you can definitely own this like domain. And we just pointed to this. I think he has like a bit more longer domain, and historical NFTs like I think was a better alternative. And we just pointed to his project.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. It's now it's been 14 months since historical NFTs have become a thing, and we're seeing cross-community collaborations, which is awesome to see. You don't see this happening really often in the modern space because it's very tribal, but we're starting to see here, get outside of the semantical debate between what's historical and what's not, and vintage. A lot of the communities are collabing together because we realize that when the tide rises, all the boats must rise with it, or else we're all going to sink together. I do want to say, though, here, this is probably one of the best roadmaps that I've seen, especially in the historical space, and I'm very excited about the future. You have some merchandise, you have a cool community. What would you say are, before we get out of here, what are your last thoughts about how the community of CryptoCards is, and have they been doing very well at supporting both of you as the leaders of the CryptoCards?
I think our community is like even within the historical NFT communities and the broader NFT communities, I think we have brought together like the most amazing folks that were patient with us and very much supportive, even within our like bumps during the road, during the discovery and everything else. And right now there's still patience. If you can check, like if you check our Discord, like there's no like impatience regarding why don't you market or what more, or why don't you do that more, and so on. Because what we set out to do takes a little bit of time, and we have seen support and patience behind us at every given moment. And now what we'd like to do, we would like to show that we are still shipping. We're going to get some important parts as well, or did some important parts of our roadmap done. I think like two major items like to showcase to reward their patience is the dynamic fee collections and the integration with the metaverse. This takes time, but there are two good chunks of work that will make our projects more known in the entire NFT community.
We like the cards, baby. We like the cards. Well, Robert and Alex, thank both of you for coming on and sharing the history of CryptoCards, the thoughts, the future, and the innovation that's going to be coming here in the near future. So thank both of you once again. Very incredible project. And yeah, hopefully, are you guys going to be at NFT NYC by chance?
Yeah, we're going to have Michael representing us there. Yeah, and Adam as well, I think.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank both of you for joining me, and those who have made it this far. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow CryptoCards, get some join history, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having us.